Business Show. I'm your host, Lori Brooks. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. This week, I have the pleasure of chatting with the dynamic Katia Ravé, business consultant, author, and public speaker. Katia, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
And I am excited to have you and to dive into your journey. But before we do, I want to rewind the clock just a bit. I want to go back to the days of, say, junior high or high school, when an aunt or an uncle or even a mentor at school would have asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was your answer to that question?
I had two answers, depending on who was asking.
Mm.
One was if I was anybody who was friends of my parents, I would say a lawyer. And if you would just ask me if it was nobody that my parents would know, I said I was going to be a hairdresser or a photojournalist. This is it though. This is behind, this is the reality, you know, like, I am not going to tell you just the lawyer because it looks good now.
Right. Exactly. No, and it's so funny that you said that because I had so many different thoughts myself as I was growing up. And it was very similar. You know, I wanted to be a doctor. And of course, that was what I would tell my parents and friends of my parents or aunts and uncles, much the same. But then behind the scenes, anybody else, so I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be Mariah Carey or Janet Jackson. You know, those were the thoughts. So I agree with you. You definitely have multiple different thoughts as a child. It's never necessarily just one specific thing.
That's right.
100%. So tell me, how did entrepreneurship become a thought process for you?
So I became a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And that's in France. It's a little bit different than here. So I went to really high level school to do that, not only to be able to operate, but to be able to have your own hair salon in France. You need a special certification. And if you want to teach it, you need another certification. And I did all of those. And then I went to a hair show. And I'm going there because there is a reason why. And I went to a hair show in Paris, and then there was a guy who said, be one of the 22 hairdressers who get chosen to go to America. And I remember looking at that guy, not knowing his name, but his name was Sylvain Miloul, and he was the hairdresser of the White House at the time. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to apply to see where I'm at in the spectrum of where do I rank. I mean, they were going to have thousands of people applying, and I just wanted to see where I ranked, not knowing. Then I became one of the 22. I ranked so high, then I was chosen to come to work in America, to Washington, D.C. And for 18 months, that's what I did. I worked for him, and you know, it was under the Clinton administration, and had a great time. And then the more I realized, then I was into that world. It was somewhat a world of celebrity, but you're not a celebrity, but you are touching. I realized, and I just wanted to work for me. I wanted to make my own money. I wanted to be in charge of my income. So, fast forward a couple of years, I had hair salons, and those worked great, made so much money, and I was so happy and run them very well. So entrepreneurship was going well for me. Nice. And then I decided to open a spa, 3,000 square feet. Wow. Literally, when you entered, you felt like you entered in Paris. You were in Paris. You were transported. I had the best product, French product. I had the best employee, and yet we couldn't make the money we needed. We had to fly. We really had to close the doors after 5 years. Wow. Suddenly, I was the failure. The spa wasn't the failure. I was. Right. And then I was like, I never want to hear anything about business. Do never talk about business, ever. I turned my back. This is it. I never mind all of the successes before. All
Right.
I looked at was this. So I decided, like everybody, as an avoidance, to go back to school. And I became a photojournalist because that was one of the other things that I had said as a child I wanted. I became very successful. Even by the time I was still in school, I got a bachelor in fine art, went back to college, graduated with a 3.98 GPA at age 40. And all of my friends who were artists, photographers, interior designers, chefs, they were like, how do we really run a business? How, like, they would turn back to me, including some of my teachers. And I was just like, I cannot give them advice. I had this imposter syndrome. I cannot give them advice until I really look at why did the spa not work. So I hired a coach and we sat down and we looked at what was missing. And when I saw them, that piece was so tiny, Lori, so tiny. I was like, nobody should ever go through that. And I made it my mission. It is literally my mission to just empower business owners to make money and to see what step is to be done at the right time in their entrepreneurship. That's really my journey with entrepreneur. I live and breathe entrepreneurship. My fourth book is coming out. I believe that entrepreneurship with leadership is what makes us whole. Because a lot of time we have the strategy, but we don't have the leadership. And sometimes we have the leadership, but we don't have the strategy.
I love how you wrapped up so many things just now, but there were two pieces that I think are so cute. How it was something so small and so random that sparked the journey in terms of just a competition, just a thought, just let me see where I am with this piece that sparked a whole nother avenue for you that took you down the road to moving to the US, to working here for a while, to then recognizing once again, you know what? I want to do me. I really want to do me. And you knew how to, but then you wrapped it up with there was another tiny little piece that changed everything for you and made you almost give up entrepreneurship altogether. And it's those tiny little things that I think that we take for granted, be it the positive or the negative. We disregard, we ignore, we don't bring up. And I so appreciate you pointing both of those out because they are important. If you don't necessarily look at, okay, what was it that sparked this portion of the journey, or what was it that sparked the journey altogether? So to take stock of that and then to look at, okay, this point in my journey almost was an end point, but it was really once again caused by something that was so easily recognized, witnessed, and clarified by someone else, because sometimes that's also important, just taking a step back and having fresh eyes and taking a fresh look at processes, planning different pieces of the practice so that you can go ahead and begin moving forward once again. So I thank you for sharing, you know, the spark and the close of the first practice there and how those hiccups really do occur. And the fact that you made the decision to return back to school, to make that pivot, to then go ahead and move back into entrepreneurship, become successful once again, you're a serial entrepreneur. I think it's clicking for me heavily how you brought up the closing of the salon, because it's one of those things when I end a project or make the decision that it's the close of you take on that moment where you're like, oh, that was a fail, or I was failed. But there's no such thing as failure.
No.
Only feedback.
Yeah.
And that's precisely what you saw. You got the feedback, you were able to grow from it. And as long as we grow from the feedback, there's no such thing as a failure. That's because we were able to attain growth from it. So I love that you brought that full circle for us.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I tell my client, I say, if we have the capacity of debriefing what worked, what didn't work, we are automatically successful.
Yes. I tell my clients it's a case of wino mode to boss mode.
Yes. Ooh, I like that.
On our business, And then we're moving into a point where we're building out operations to support our success. Because we all get into wino mode. We all get there. Every one of us, don't care who we are, how far in the journey we are, it comes and goes. We get there, and it's not necessarily, you don't solve wino mode and never go back to it.
That's right.
That's not a thing. You always end up there. And it's a matter of just taking a step back, looking
Yeah.
at what new processes and tweaks and changes can be, put into place to really help once again move you forward into a point of success. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
my last one.
And I think it's important to talk about the failure because I think, like you said, you're like, oh, I looked you up online and you pop up everywhere. And yeah, and that's what people see. And
Yes.
there's a journey who brought me here. And that journey is very important. And I really think it's important for people, especially right now in a season where people want that authentic. It's like, yeah, I was divorced. I was married for 17 years and not, it wasn't all rosy. And like all these things happen to us. Those are not the thing that we post on social media. It's the thing I talk in my emails and all of this. But yeah, like I want people to know that we're real. I'm a real person.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's a real life journey.
Yes, yes, very much so.
It's a real life journey. Everybody's living it. So there's always ups and downs. So I thank you for that. So where are you today? You have had so many shifts and pivots and transitions. What is Katia doing today?
So we are mixing and matching. So we're business coaching, right? We started as business coaching and we hard on business coaching. And we bring in we bring in leadership with it. So meaning like, like this is kind of my baby that I birthed, at the beginning of last year, the Entrepreneur Academy Mastermind. It's a one-stop shop for all entrepreneurs, meaning you have how to do sales, because a lot of my clients were doing great, but then they were getting leads and they were speaking on stages. I was coaching all that, but then sales wasn't happening. So they weren't making any money. So they would hire people to write their book or to do sales. And I was like, oh my gosh, their person wasn't talking to me. So we were not aligned in the business. And I was like, the client is the one who pays the price. So we are one-stop shop now. We have the Entrepreneur Academy where for a whole year, people can work with us and they write their book, they create their speech, who converts, and they get their business and they understand how to sell, they understand how to get on stage. So all of that. And my husband is full-time in my company now. That's a big deal. We welcomed him in November. And so that was, that's big for two entrepreneurs to say we're taking this risk and this leap, and it's incredible. So we have created many courses now because what was happening, Lori, it's a lot of people wanted me and they couldn't always afford me neither. So we have made a lot of things affordable for people who can't really afford me, with having it, how to speak, how to create a signature talk. Right now it's all online. And then I meet with them 15 minutes in between just to kind of catch up and give them that. And same thing, like I saw a lot of my clients were having issues with money, like mindset money, stuff from their old childhood. So we made a course on that, how to write your books. So we basically took everything from the academy and we also divided in little sections. That way, if people just want to learn how to speak or to be a keynote speaker or to write a book or to do the basis of the fundamental of the business, like they can do that without, investing too much money either. So that's kind of where we're at. And we're really thriving. We're having a retreat in person next week. And we have Speed the Summit. We have a summit happening, a 15-day summit. So we everywhere.
You are everywhere.
Love it. And I love it.
I am looking forward to the retreat and the summit. I hope that you will send us links so that I can go ahead and share those with the audience. So anyone who is interested can find you and go ahead and and dive into their own entrepreneurial journey. So that is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
So Katia, if you had the ability to go back, say 10, 15 years and tell yourself just one thing, what do you think that would be?
Be your word.
Mm.
Integrity is everything in business. Like,
Yes.
be your word and integrity. Like, don't try to be someone else, be your own person. And the moment I got that, the moment I realized I didn't need to be a copy of my coach or a copy of this person I see on social media, it's really when we started to take off, and really hiring the right people around me to, you know, to give me the support to become that.
Mm. Integrity, the authenticity and integrity in the journey and who you are and what you're doing with your clients is extremely important. Without it, it's kind of difficult to build a business.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, it's interesting because you go back to when we talk about integrity and your word, it's all about your core values. And even on the call before the recording, I told you what was my intention. My intention is to create a world of love, unity, connection, faith, trust, and abundance. And that's my word. It's really my word to me. It's how, you know, is everything lined up? Does that go with that? Or what when I'm talking with people, is it, do I still have that? And you know, when you're so focused on what's your intention and your word for it, your integrity, it's, yeah, it's magic.
It's easy.
Mhm.
Everything falls into place.
Yes, yes, very much so.
You know, imposter syndrome can hinder the
Yeah.
journey
Yeah,
more so than help the journey. So
yeah,
definitely, you know, take it out of your mind, get out of it, recognize that you being you is the most important thing when it comes to this journey overall. So
yeah, yeah.
definitely, thank you, thank you.
No,
So
thank you.
of course. So the show is really designed, as you know, to help the audience and help them come up with a business idea in an industry that they may not have been thinking of. So, and you have your hands in a number of different industries, from, you know, coaching and consulting to public speaking to the summits to the retreats. So we're curious, in your practice, if in fact you could change anything at all. Again, I keep joking with everyone that we're one day going to have this magic wand that really truly will change everything. But if you had that magic wand and could change anything in your business, what would it be and why?
I would say bring in the money piece bigger than what it is now. I just literally just introduced it 3 days ago, because I see that was missing.
Mm.
And yeah, the money piece, like there is a scarcity or a mindset in people. So I brought that, but then I would say, so today, so 3 days ago, I would have said that, but I just launched it. I would say surveying more, even more. I'm always surveying my client, like leads and clients, but I would say even heavier surveying, because when I know what they want, then I'm not just out there creating things they don't want. I'm
Right.
there for the audience. It's always about the audience, always about the audience. So I would say that, yeah, that would be my magic wand. And no, if I had a magic wand, I would teach how to do summits. I haven't gone there yet. But it's, do you know how many people ask me how to put a summit together? And I know how. I give it to my, you know, to my private clients, but
I'll be on that list of those who want to know.
yeah, you know what? This is a great question.
Jot that down. I don't think that.
Yep. I can tell you then within the next 90 days, we'll have one course that goes on that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question.
Excellent. Well, Katia, you have been outstanding. I thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your journey and and your practice with us, please share the best way for our audience to find you.
So you can find me at, anywhere on social media. Just type my first name, Katia, Katia, Rave, Rave, Ravé, but I'm going to say we played on it. We used to have a podcast. We say Rave with Katia Ravé, but really katiaravé.com. And we have so many freebies on our website. We are so in giving and generosity on social media, the same. So just found us. And then, on the website, I will send you the link, but if you go to katiarave.com/speed, which is the name of the next summit, you can register for this free summit that we're hosting next week.
Outstanding. Well, I will be sure to include a link to your website as well as to the summit on the show notes page so that everyone can go ahead and register. So definitely, Katia, I thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for what you're doing for the audience. It's so meaningful and it's so important, and always giving back to them and supporting others really to grow into entrepreneurship. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. So